Hello everybody, it's me, Wendy with Crooked House Herbals, and it is Thursday, May 23rd, and we're here for another session of Weeds and Wisdom. Just getting my thing to stand up right. There we go. And I hope everybody's had a blessed day. It's a little warm out here, but it is the end of May almost, so I guess that's to be expected. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that all ties together. I have 3 different herbs I want to talk about. Then they all kind of have to do with cleaning your blood and strengthening your immune system, your lymphatic system, getting yourself purged out and cleaned out, like we've been talking about for quite a while now. So before we get all the way started, I always like to mention that if you miss any or all or part of a broadcast, you can always give it a couple days, and then they're all uploaded to the Crooked House Herbals YouTube channel, and you're welcome to go there and revisit any of the broadcasts that I've done. They're categorized, I think. Weeds and Wisdom is its own little section, and then there's some other training videos and different things that I've done in the past. You'll recognize them as being past because I look different. I had my dark hair still and different things like that, but I went ahead and uploaded them all onto the channel anyway because it's all useful information, so that you can access things as you need them, because you know, sometimes the stuff that we talk about one night doesn't really have that much meaning until something happens in your life and you go, hey, wait a minute, I think I remember hearing something about this, and you can go back and reference it when you need it. Also, I wanted to let you know that I do have a good website. I do have a good product line. I make all of my own formulas, and I grow most of my own herbs. And at crookedhouseherbals.com is where that is. Of course, we have our Facebook page, so contact information, you can get me at wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com. You can message me on our Facebook page. If you've got my personal phone number, you're welcome to text me, and I will do everything I can do to help you. All right, okay, so let's get started, because more than likely we will go the full time with this information that I have this evening. Let me just pull this up and make sure that I'm not missing anybody's communications while we're on our little herbal journey. There's 3 herbs that I want to talk to you about tonight. One of them I've actually talked to you about before. In fact, all of these I've covered at one point or another, either in some of the classes that I've taught and workshops, or you know, other venues. But a lot of the people that watch me now are new, so I wanted to cover these 3 in particular because they all tie together. All right, so let me get on here and we will get started. The first herb that I want to talk to you about is actually a really super cool plant. It's a tree, actually, but excuse me, late in the day, I was really excited to find out that where I used to live in Royal, I had these trees growing on my property, and I was super excited about it because they are amazing. They're not just amazing because, you know, what they can do medicinally, but just looking at them, they're a cool tree. And the tree that I'm talking about is prickly ash. Prickly ash is, hang on a second, I just want to make sure I got everything where I need it to be, hopefully. All right, I never know about this. Facebook used to be a lot simpler than it is now. It's not so simple anymore. Okay, so prickly ash is an evergreen, and it grows all around the world, but you can find a lot of it in the eastern part of the United States. But I had some on my property in Royal. It will grow very, very well in zones 3 through 7. Up here where I'm at, I'm actually in, I don't know if I'm 6 or 6.5. So I am going to try to find some prickly ash trees and plant them so that I have some of it. They're the coolest things ever. When we get through tonight, or if you can even do it while you're watching me, Google images of prickly ash and you'll see what I mean. It's got a real rough bark, and then it's got these big old thorns that stick out. I mean, it looks like, you know, if you cut a chunk of this off, you could really hone an awesome weapon out of this thing, because it's just gnarly. But it is an amazing medicinal plant. So, it's also, you know, it hasn't just been a medicinal plant. You know, a lot of people used it culinarily as well. But it kind of got its nickname as the toothache tree because the Native Americans especially would use it to relieve toothache. It's got a really wide range of plant constituents, and it does a lot of different things. So there's actually like 200 types of prickly ash trees, but all of them are medicinal. So you can't really go wrong, you know. Typically it's the bark that's used for infusions and powders and poultices and that kind of. The berries are also safe to consume, and they are used like a lot of times, especially the Chinese would use them as a spice. It's very tingly and spicy, and it has some aromatic properties as well. But it's kind of like the berries are kind of peppery, okay? So they would be used in culinary dishes and stuff like that. But toothaches, okay, and now those of you that have been following me for a long time and have learned a few things from me, think about this. When I'm just going to list some of the things that it addresses and either heals or relieves, and then you can tell me if you can what are the chemical properties? Why would it be able to do this? Okay, you've got toothache pain, you have malaria. Okay, what is malaria? Think about that. You have sleeping sickness, which we kind of know it as like mono, that kind of thing. Ulcers and wounds, fungal infections, colds and coughs. Okay, so when you break all of those things down and you think, okay, so toothache, I mean, that's nerve pain, right? When you have a toothache. Malaria is viral, right? Sleeping sickness is, I think it's also viral. I'm not sure. Ulcers and wounds can be, you know, infectious on different levels, bacterially, fungal, you know, they would fall in that department. Fungal infections and colds and coughs, which we know colds are viruses and coughs are usually symptomatic of whatever you've got, maybe a lot of mucus or, you know, allergies, you know, I don't know, different things will make you cough. So prickly ash is very versatile. Why? Because it has all of these factors. It's an alkaloid, it's a flavonoid, it has, it's a nervine, and it's antiviral, it's antimicrobial. Okay, so let me just talk to you a little bit about all this stuff. There's over 140 compounds in prickly ash. 140 compounds have been isolated from prickly ash, mostly the bark. My computer is flashing at me. Many of these different things that have been isolated are antioxidants, which we know from our last 2 weeks especially. They fight the free radicals, the oxidizing process, the aging process in our bodies. Free radicals are very unstable molecules, so we need things to either consume them or fight them to keep our bodies in check. It relieves pain and inflammation, so it's got the constituents that are anti-inflammatory and analgesic. Okay, analgesics are pain relievers like willow bark or aspirin or other topical things that you could use, like Anbesol stuff. Clove is analgesic, but prickly ash is very analgesic, so it works good as a topical pain reliever. It also has it'll not just numb it, but it will also decrease the inflammation and what's actually causing the pain. There was some studies that have been done. There's been a lot of interest in prickly ash lately by the science community, and they are conducting more and more studies with, so far just with mice and things, but they are uncovering some very interesting things that the Native Americans have known from the beginning about prickly ash. Okay, let's go on to digestive complaints. Okay, prickly ash may help treat multiple digestive conditions, including diarrhea, gastritis, gastric ulcers, and this was also backed up by some studies that were done with mice, finding out that when they were given extracts of prickly ash, either the stem and the root or both, their digestive situations were improved or completely corrected. So, interesting, right? Because we all have stomach issues. We talked about that last week. Stomach ulcers. So again, I've talked to you a lot about slippery elm and licorice because they are very, very good for addressing those kinds of things in your gut. But prickly ash can be added to that bunch as well. It has several antibacterial and antifungal effects. They've done some tests that actually were using essential oils from prickly ash, and they found that there were 7 microbial strains that were inhibited just by the essential oil. The researchers concluded that these extracts had strong antimicrobial properties against pathogens and organisms known to cause food to spoil, which is interesting. Another test study noted that parts of the tree, including the leaf, the fruit, the stem, and the bark, showed antifungal properties against 11 strains of fungus, including Candida, Aspergillus, and that was with the fruit and the leaf extracts. So an extract, is like what is made with some kind of alcohol, and it's extracted into the alcohol, and you take that like a tincture. Okay. So we know that it's very antimicrobial, it's very antifungal, it's very analgesic, anti-inflammatory. So it's great for treating infections of all kinds. So it would be wise if you are one that wants to, that is in the business of helping other people, and you either have prickly ash, have access to it, or I would suggest maybe if you've got the property, plant a few. It's relatively simple to grow and low maintenance. It's pretty drought tolerant. Anything that's, it's just easy to grow. Like I said, I was so tickled when I found it on my property in Royal, because I thought, first of all, it's the coolest tree ever. It looks like some kind of ancient thing. Just get some pictures of it online and look at it for yourself, because it has a substance in it called herculin. I used to call it the Hercules trees because they look all bulky and tough, and they got all those nasty thorns on them and stuff, but very cool trees. Okay, just make sure you wear gloves when you mess with them, because they'll poke you. Okay, there's several ways to take prickly ash. You can just chew on the bark like Euell Gibbons, if that's what those of you that know who that is. Especially if you have a toothache, cut off a piece of prickly ash bark and just start chomping away on it. Alternatively, you could make a tea. You could simmer a couple teaspoons of the chopped bark in some water, 5 or 10 minutes, and drink that. You could also, dry it, powder it up, put it in capsules if you want to, or you could make tinctures with it. You can pretty much do anything you want to and you can do that with the bark and the berries. Okay. Again, dosages, you're going to have to just make it a strength that works for you. Prickly ash is one of those herbs that's really good, and you're going to see why, to add to other formulas. And I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so let's see. Of course, as with everything else, you want to make sure that you do all things in moderation, especially until you know how your body's going to react to something. Don't go super dosing on something until you know for sure how your body's going to do, because we all have weak areas and we're all at different stages in our life. If you're a young 30-year-old and everything's good and checks out great, you can probably tolerate more stronger doses and that kind of thing. But as you get older, you want to make sure that you use moderation until you are sure how your body is going to react to certain things, and then you can always increase or decrease. Okay? We have all power. Alrighty? But for the most part, there is no real contraindications with prickly ash unless you are like mega dosing. Then you might end up with some diarrhea or some other kind of thing, that is not pleasant. It's not going to kill you, but just, start with a moderate amount and then work one way or the other with it. Okay, the berries and the bark of prickly ash have long been used for natural medicine. They were some of the Native Americans' go-to things. And like I said, especially in the eastern part of our country, that's where a lot of prickly ash was to begin with. But now it's, you can find it in a lot of places. I don't think you would probably have very much luck growing it in the desert, but I do know it grows here because I had it on my property, and boy, was it exciting that day I found it. It was really exciting. And then once you know what you're looking for, you find it everywhere. It's like, when you buy a certain car, all of a sudden it looks like everybody's driving your car. Okay, let's move on. Now, let's talk a little bit about what I was mentioning earlier about the fact that mixing prickly ash in with other herbs will give you bigger boost all the way around. It's very diffusive. Okay, by that I mean it's a movement herb. Okay, it's kind of like lobelia in that sense, or even cayenne pepper. It's going to move the fluid and the heat in your body. Okay, so it directs the blood in your body to move to the core of the body, or from the core of the body out to the periphery, to the tissues that are all around. So it's really good for stagnant conditions, and that's why I picked this one and the other two herbs that I'm going to talk about tonight, because they all three kind of go together in this realm. But stagnant conditions, I mean, whether it's a chronic one or it's just something that comes up every now and then, like edema, or something else like bloating, or retaining a lot of fluid, or whatever, things that are that tell you that something is stagnant, that you're not moving the fluid in your body like you need to be moving it. If you were, you wouldn't be blowing up, and you wouldn't have edema, you wouldn't have swollen ankles, your hands wouldn't be swelling up, you wouldn't have those issues, you wouldn't have big puffy bags under your eyes. Okay, those are all signs that you got stagnant things going on in your body. Your fluid is not moving the way it needs to. So prickly ash can help that. Okay, and that's what the term rubefacient means. It means that it brings blood to the area, and it's usually used in conjunction, with like a topical application or whatever. But prickly ash would be one that you would, if you had a prickly ash oil made up or whatever, it would be something you would rub on somebody that's suffering with hypothermia or something like that, because immediately it would start bringing the blood to wherever it is you were rubbing it on. Okay, that's a good example of how it works. Okay, it's awesome. Okay, it's also really good, and because of that, it's good for bruising, for sprains, for any kind of injury where you need the blood to get to it quickly to start correcting and bringing oxygen and stuff to the tissues. Any illness involving fluid stagnation, prickly ash is a good one, including like arthritis and that kind of stuff. Okay. Mostly, like I said before, it's the bark that you use, and you can decoct it, you can tincture it, you could dry it and use it in a poultice. Okay, so combining it with, let's say, ginger or cayenne pepper, or other, what's the word when it makes you sweat? Who remembers it? Anybody? An herb that makes you sweat, that heats you up, like cinnamon or ginger or cayenne. Let's see if anybody can tell me if they remember what that's called. Okay, but anyway, those herbs will actually enhance the effects of prickly ash, and vice versa. Prickly ash will enhance theirs. Prickly ash and all blood or lymph moving herbs, for that matter, work best when they're combined with body movement. So if diaphoretic, good job, Crystal. So if you are working with somebody, or if you yourself are suffering from some of these issues, the best thing you can do is put together a combination of these diaphoretic herbs along with the prickly ash, and then however you want to consume them, whether that's B&T or tincture or however, and then move your body. Take a walk, get your circulation going and watch what happens. Okay, these all work really well with body movement. So a lot of times people don't realize that, it's not just enough to take something orally or rub it on your skin, but get your whole body involved with your healing, because that's important. At one time, I don't think it was this week, but I think it was fairly recently, prickly ash was actually the herb of the week by the powers that be, whoever they are. Because I remember reading that on some of the websites that I frequent. I remember seeing that prickly ash was the herb of the week. Just a little side note. But walking and that kind of stuff will also engage all your muscle groups. So it's going to get these herbs going through your whole bloodstream, through your heart, through it all, and you'll reap the benefits big time. Okay. Prickly ash is also very tingly. Okay, it's like spicy. Remember I told you it sort of has a peppery taste. So what does that do? Okay, this is why it would work well for digestion and stomach issues. Why? Because it stimulates salivation. It stimulates your saliva, which is your first point of digestion, and it gets the fluid moving in your mouth, and it will increase your ability to digest. So if you just even made like a cup of tea with prickly ash, and maybe add a little ginger to it, and then eat after you've done that. So you've got this increased action in your mouth. It will help you with your digestion. Okay. The toothache plant has similar effects. And there is a plant called the toothache plant that's not prickly ash, but prickly ash has also been dubbed the toothache plant or the toothache tree. Native Americans did that because it has healing properties, but it also has analgesic properties, which numb. You know, if you've got a toothache, it numbs that, makes your mouth feel better. So, prickly ash tincture, and then that Spilanthes plant. It's actually a cool looking plant too. It looks like, I don't know, like God was just having fun that day. That's what it looks like. It's very whimsical looking. It's pretty neat. Okay, so if you're another little side note, TMJ sufferers seem to get some benefit from prickly ash as well. Okay, prickly ash is also called what we call a nervous trephor restorative, which is a big fancy way of saying it adds health and functionality to your nerves and your nervous system. The major way that it does this is improves blood flow, particularly in the tiny capillaries, which is interesting. It really gets into the smaller areas and delivers fresh blood to the tissues of the body and also to the nerves. So when you've got nervous system issues, maybe you've got tingling in your hands and feet or numbness, you have this, prickly ash will create this like a micro circulation of blood. Okay, so it really gets small and gets it into the capillaries, the little tiny capillaries, and improves the health of the nerve tissues. It also, sorry, I have an itch. So when you do that, it'll also improve your transduction, your transfer of nerve signals. So if you've had a stroke, or if you have had, or if you've got neuropathy, it'll also relieve pain from that, like nerve pain, but it also it stops your nerves from sending those distress signals to your brain. Okay, so that whole system gets hijacked and stops. Your spine and your brain, you know, they're the ones that get all those signals and tell your body you're hurting and that this is bad and blah, blah, blah. So prickly ash helps resolve the nerve pain, the numbness, the tingling, the loss of sensation in your hands and feet, similar issues that you may have from nerve damage or loss of function at the root. It's a good idea to maybe combine it with maybe Damiana, St. John's wort, evening primrose, if you want to use it like over long term to rectify some damage that's occurred for whatever reason. Those are all good herbs to combine with prickly ash. And again, keep your body moving. Move it, move it, move it. I mean, I'm not saying you gotta go run marathons. I'm just saying move your body every day. I don't care if you're using a walker. Hit the hallways with it, you know, but move your body. Just like you stretch your muscles, you need to stretch your nerves. And the more you move, especially if you're introducing the prickly ash and stuff into your body, then it's going to increase your blood flow, and all those capillaries are going to get the good stuff, and you'll move it through your system much faster by just having a little bit more activity in your day. Okay? Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? Microcirculatory stimulation. That's the effect of prickly ash. It's used as a catalyst in liver and kidney formulas also. It's an adaptogen. It's also used in formulas, you know, like hepatic, renal formulas, you know, liver, kidney, that kind of thing. Ashwagandha, licorice, sarsaparilla, sassafras, prickly ash, they're all good for those kinds of things. So you can mix and match with those herbs and work in that realm, you know, with the liver and the kidneys and that kind of stuff. Adjust your proportions to taste and to effect. One thing you want to remember with licorice root, and that is it does have a tendency to raise your blood pressure if you use it for a long time. So you want to, if you're making your own formula and you're using the parts system, you know, if you're using 2 parts of prickly ash and 2 parts of ashwagandha, maybe use 1 part of licorice or even half, and keep that a little lower ratio. Okay? If you have blood pressure issues, that's not a problem for me. Mine's usually low, so I don't seem to have any issues with the licorice root, but some people do, and you'll know, you know, you'll feel it. So, you know, if you know that you have a tendency with that, then just back that down. You don't have to eliminate it, just make it a lesser part of the formula. A little ginger in there is helpful. Let's see, echinacea could be added to this blend to further enhance defensive responses from things like bites or stings, spiders, snakes, any of that stuff. Yes, echinacea, think about it. It's a blood purifier as well as an antibiotic. So part of the reason, you know, it's good to have a formula like that made up or handy is, you know, this time of year especially, there's a lot of wasps outside and things like that, you know, fortunately I'm not allergic to wasps. I am to bees, but even, you know, they sting you and they'll come back for more. They don't die like bees do. Okay, so you can have multiple wasp stings and then you've got venom in your body. So using a formula with echinacea and prickly ash, some plantain in there would be a good thing to have on hand, just to help your body, you know, get rid of the venom and right the ship. Astragalus is also another good thing to boost your immune system and keep your balance, keep things in balance. It's also a good one if you have had tick bites. Astragalus is good. Keep that in, and put this prickly ash with it. It's good stuff. Let's see, what else can I talk to you about with that? So I'm thinking that it's such a good cleanser that I would think that it would be something that you might want to add to your heavy metal detox formulas and things like that. Maybe just a cup of prickly ash tea three times a week, wouldn't be a bad idea. Or, mix it with some ginger or cinnamon and make a good tea blend and drink that 2 or 3 times a week. I think it would be a good idea in the times we are now living. Okay. Okay. What makes it make that tingly feeling, that tingly sensation in your mouth, is the alkaloids that are in it. Okay. It's a constituent that you also can, a lot of people can detect the same constituent in echinacea. If you drink echinacea tea, you get this tingly sensation in your mouth a lot of times. That's the alkaloids. But it also has it's got, what am I trying to think of? It's got the tannins in it as well. So tannins make it astringent. So you know what astringent things feel like in your mouth. They kind of suck it up. So you have a tingly sensation. You also have tannins, and those two things together actually make it very antimicrobial. So you're fighting, it's got stuff like berberine, okay? Berberine is in several different herbs. That has that same effect, but it's very antimicrobial. So those are all good things. Very helpful against infections, and it's very helpful for wound healing. You might want to mix it with some garlic and barberry, maybe some elecampane. We've talked about elecampane before, wormwood, and make a nice formula for washing wounds. And and it's also really good to have around if you have animals that you need to treat and that kind of stuff. So let's see. The leaves are kind of aromatic on the tree. It's kind of bushy, but they do get kind of tall too. You just they have like a reddish brown berry that comes on them, and they like full sun, but they'll also live in partial shade, because my property was pretty heavily wooded, and I found mine in some obscure places on my property. So they like the well-drained soil. They're not, they're going to be at the top of the hill, not the bottom, if you have hilly property. But they'll handle a lot of a variety of soils. So you don't be afraid to try to grow some, because I think it would be a really good addition to those of you that are serious about having good medicine around. It belongs to the Rutaceae family, which is the same family that citrus belongs to, and rue. So you know how citrus has little thorns on their branches, and there's rue doesn't have any thorns, but they're both in the same family. So I thought that was interesting. Let's see. I think so. Anything that it's good for, it'll help with fevers and coughs and arthritic conditions, because it's very anti-inflammatory, and it moves. The main thing you want to remember is it moves fluid and blood through your body, Okay, so it's a good addition to other formulas, formulas with other herbs. You really can't go wrong with it. Because anytime, like I told you guys before, I use a lot of lobelia in my formulas for that reason. Because it's a smart herb, it's a transitive herb. It takes the herbs where they need to go. And this one moves things through your blood. So it's going to be really helpful for nerve conditions and restorative processes. All right, prickly ash. Got that? All right, next herb that I want to talk about. And like I said, if you've been with me before, I've talked about these herbs before, but for you newbies, I will do a brief thing with these. The next one is stinging nettle. And you're going to go, holy cow, I don't want to mess with stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is fine. It's wonderful, actually. It's like a natural Vicodin. It's a good pain reliever. And you just have to when you harvest it, obviously you're using gloves, but as soon as you put it in liquid or whatever, for any, or however you're going to process it, the stinging aspect of it goes away. It's not going to hurt you. Okay, you don't feel it anymore. But some of the uses for it are nutritional. It is chocked full of vitamins and minerals. You can live on it. You'd have to cook it slowly, low heat, but yeah, makes a nice green, actually. I like it better than like turnip greens and some of those others that they eat in the South. Okay, it's a weedy plant. It's very common. Most people have come into contact with stinging nettle probably on hikes through the woods. You'll find it a lot of times around creeks and that kind of stuff. I still always remember the day that my sister and I took a hike and she walked through a big old patch of it and she was just covered with stinging nettle, and she was not happy. She was sitting in the freezing cold creek trying to get some relief. That was quite a day. Anyway, active ingredients: flavonoids, tannins. Where have we heard this before? Prickly ash. But it has fatty acids. It's got isolectins. It's got sterols, terpenes, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, which are proteins, and carotenoids. Okay? It is legally labeled as a food and dietary supplement. So, it's interesting. It's been around for a long time, and again, scientists are they've come full circle in a lot of things and thought, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe we ought to take a look at this. So, it's been mainly researched and used in the study of allergies, arthritis, enlarged prostate, heart failure, chronic venous insufficiency, CVI, and heart health. Okay, so allergies, arthritis, enlarged prostate, heart failure, venous, vein issues, and heart health. So, a lot of the same things that prickly ash address, stinging nettle also addresses. One thing it doesn't talk about in this particular section of material that I have is the fact that it is also a natural pain reliever. I use stinging nettle in my Vika Wild. I make a tincture that's made with stinging nettle and wild lettuce and willow bark. So it covers all the bases, and it actually is very good. It works really well. All of those things work in different areas of your body to relieve pain. So Stinging nettle, obviously, for allergies, it addresses one thing. Arthritis, it's going to address what? Inflammation. Enlarged prostate, inflammation, among other things. Heart failure and CVI, circulation. Okay? And heart health, which is probably circulation and oxygen. Oxygen for one thing. You know, there's several things that you need to keep your heart healthy. But arthritis, there was a review and a study done that showed that stinging nettle had the same kind of active ingredients in it as Cambria and Voltaren, which are both arthritis medications. And the results were as good, if not better, than when they used the medications. So, which makes sense to me. If it's anti-inflammatory, it's gonna help with any of that stuff. Okay, there was a clinical trial with using nettle juice that it acted like a diuretic. Okay, like a water pill. And I think this is, and what they were looking to see is how it worked for heart health, you know, because a lot of people are on Lasix and that kind of stuff when they have heart issues and problems. And so stinging nettle was introduced as an alternative and did a really good job. Really good job. It's also very good for people that have type 2 diabetes. It lowered, it says when compared to a placebo, the stinging nettle extract lowered fasting blood sugar and triglycerides while raising high density lipoprotein, the HDL cholesterol, by levels. You know, it increased nitric oxide levels, and those are the things that can relax your blood vessels and increase your blood flow. Again, we're talking about blood flow. So, you know, you've heard the saying, life is in the blood. Well, there's something to that. And unfortunately, a lot of people have kind of contaminated their blood. So, these are all ways that you can help to move stuff through and out and repair some damage. All right? That's all I'm going to say about that. Stinging nettle. Okay? Again, easy to grow. I would recommend big containers if you're going to grow it, though, because this stuff will take over. It'll be everywhere. And then you got to watch where you walk. Okay? So I have big, huge agricultural containers that I grow my stinging nettle in. And that way it's contained for the most part. You know, it'll still seed and go different places, but most of it is in the pot. Okay? But let's listen to some of this. Stinging nettle nutrients. It has 6.6 grams. Okay, this is for a 1 cup serving. Okay? It has 6.6 grams of carbohydrate, 6.1 grams of fiber, 2.4 of protein, 0.098 of fat, 428 milligrams of calcium, 0.06 of copper, 1.46 milligrams of iron, 50 milligrams of magnesium, 0.63 of manganese, 63 milligrams of phosphorus, 297 milligrams of potassium, 0.267 micrograms of selenium, 3.5 milligrams of sodium, 89.9 micrograms of vitamin A. Then it's got vitamin B1, B2, B3, B6, B9, and 440 micrograms of vitamin K in a cup of stinging nettle. Pretty good, huh? You're not going to get that from a box of macaroni and cheese, that's for sure. Again, there's really no side effects except if you overdo it. If you overdo it and overconsume, you could end up with a little upset stomach, maybe some sweating, I don't know, diarrhea or something, but it's not going to be anything fatal or life-threatening. It's just, uncomfortable because you had too much. So you just need to do all things in moderation, like I said. Now, let me talk to you about one more herb that goes along with the rest of these. We've been talking about moving stuff through our body, moving fluid, moving blood, prickly ash, stinging nettle. Now let's talk, well, one thing I want to talk to you about with the stinging nettle that I didn't address was helping with seasonal allergies, because I know a lot of people are struggling with that right now. And there is some research that backs it up. Has a lot of anti-allergenic properties. All right. So maybe a tincture of stinging nettle would be a good idea, but it'll address the sneezing, the nasal congestion, the watery eyes, the mucus in your nose and stuff, and your throat. It's very good for all of that. So, if you can get your hands on it, no pun intended, and want to make a tincture of it, or just get some tincture or whatever you want to do, that might be a good idea. I put stinging nettle in several of my products. I make my own tincture with it, so it's good stuff. And it of course is anti-inflammatory, and that's one reason that it's very good for the stiffness and the pain of arthritis. Again, the prostate health. 44% improvement on that study. Okay, we'll go with that. Now, my last little friend that I want to talk to you about, if you guys want a more detailed information on any of these, I have done quite a bit of research, and I've got some pretty good notes. If you want to email me, I will be happy to send you some of this information where you can do your own deep dive, direct you in the right way. Let's talk for a few minutes, because it's very appropriate, about cleavers. Now's the time cleavers is out. Those stringy, tall plants that stick to your pants, and the dog and the cat, and everybody's got sticky things all over them. It's cleavers. It's an edible plant. It's a very medicinal plant. It is a lymph cleanser to the max. So if you can get your hands on it, you need to get yourself some cleavers. You need to dry it, and you need to have it on hand, because it is very, very good. It's a good spring tonic. It's a good lymph remover. It's good for removing waste. It's good for removing the, if those people that are still having their period, it's good for flushing all those abnormal cells out, helping you clean out well. Let's see. It's edible. It's a good one to add to, like, if you have wild violets, it's a good companion with wild violets or chickweed. Okay, those are purslane. All of those are really good additions. Even stinging nettle, of course, and prickly ash will go well with cleavers. It grows tall. It's got those whorls on it, and they stick to everything. Okay, those little tiny hairs. But it is an amazing lymph mover. The lymphatic system moves all your waste and decreases your congestion and reduces swelling. That's what your lymphatic system does. Well, when it gets clogged up and it's not working right, you get these lumps in your neck. You kind of get a sore throat. You might end up with a UTI. You might end up, just feeling generally yucky. And that's can very easily be your lymphatic system is backed up and constipated, for lack of a better word, and it will eventually lead to sickness. You know, you will get sick because you're not moving the toxins through your body and out like you need to. The lymphatic system in the body is deeply connected to our immune system. So you need to take care of it. And this is a really simple way. It's out there right now. I got an entire field of it. You know, a few weeks ago when I told you about my goat's rue that was like taller than me, well, the same field is now full of cleavers. It's the magic field. So I'm going to go and harvest a bunch before my husband mows it down with the tractor, because we can't even see in there. It's so tall. So yeah, think of your lymphatic system as kind of like your sewer system. And you know what it's like when your sewer backs up, right? It gets pretty ugly pretty fast. So you don't want to let that happen, especially at this time of year. You know, you need to get that moving and stuff kick-started and out of there. So I suggest that you get your hands on some cleavers, and you can make a tea with it. It's very pleasant. It's not unpleasant at all, except for it's like you don't want to eat it in a salad because it's got little hairs on it and it's not fun. It's not pleasant to eat like that. But tincture it, dry it, put it in tea. You know, I like to mix it. One of my favorite blends is with cleavers, prickly ash, juniper berries, some cinnamon bark, and what else do I stick in there? Oh, a little bit of mullein. And it makes a really nice tea, and it's a good lymphatic cleansing tea. So, you know, something else would be good would be burdock root or something like that. But I like to kind of keep it light, and that way I can make it as an iced tea and I'll be more apt to drink it. Sometimes the barks are kind of strong and not as fun to drink, but they're necessary. It'll clean your urinary tract. If you've got a UTI, you need to be drinking cleavers tea. It'll help with bloating, all those things that happen as a result of a jammed up lymph system. Eczema, acne, all that stuff is a result of your lymphatic system being jacked up. You know, even things like weird stuff on your feet, or, you know, places that get sweaty or whatever. Lymphatic system, you need to clean out your system. Clean it out. Even, you know, excessive eye goo in the mornings and that kind of stuff. So I've given you 3, and by the way, you can use the whole plant, the stem, the leaves, all of it. Just whack it down and chop it up and dry it. Okay, it's great. And if you tincture it, you know, you'll have it for a long time. If you dry it, you'll have it for a long time. So you can make salad dressing with it and that kind of stuff with it too. It makes a nice vinegar. You can juice it. You can throw it in your juicer and juice it. Maybe if you've got gout or something like that, put some cleavers in with some celery. Throw a few cherries in there and juice it and drink up. It'll clean out all of that stuff. So tonight we have talked about prickly ash, stinging nettle, and cleavers, and how they all address the same types of things in your body. They help move the blood through to the tissues, to the nerves. You're going to relieve pain. You're going to rekindle feeling in your appendages, and, you know, right the ship with the signals to your brain with your nerves and your nervous system. You're going to move lymph and toxins out of your body and reduce inflammation. Add some nutrition to your body as well with stinging nettle, and you know, it'll relieve tooth pain. It's analgesic. So you've got, in those 3 herbs, you have a lot to work with. And I would recommend that you take a little walk and see what you can find, because stinging nettle's out right now, cleavers is out right now, and you'll have to hunt for the prickly ash, but it's out there too. If you're down in the Hot Springs Royal area, down there at all, take a hike in the woods and see what you can find. Google it and get some good pictures. Like I said, it's a real rugged bark, and then it's got these really nasty thorns on it, but it's kind of got a reddish brownish berry. And just take a good look at the leaves. There aren't very many trees like that, okay? And if all else fails, cut off a piece of the bark and chew on it. If it numbs your mouth, you've hit pay dirt, all right? All right, guys, it's been nice talking to you, and I will see you again next week. I hope you have a blessed weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Be safe, and be nice to your body, and I will see you again next week. Take care. God bless.